The film begins in the room of an as of late gone too far lady. Her young girl goes into her room and witnesses her mom's body laid among the wreck. In the current day, the little girl, Rose Cotter, Sosie Bacon, is a specialist, approaching her day at work. She manages a hyper patient named Carl, Jack Sochet. He persistently mumbles about individuals kicking the bucket, and that he will pass on. Rose endeavors to comfort him, however Carl go on with his episode. Rose then gets to require a meeting with a young lady, Laura Weaver, Caitlin Stacy. At the point when Rose meets her, Laura is bothered after a new occurrence where she saw her teacher club himself to death. From that point forward, Laura professes to have been seeing a malicious presence that appears as others. In the wake of getting some distance from Rose and thinking back, Laura starts overreacting and going ballistic. Rose calls for help, yet she thinks back to find that Laura has gotten a wrecked shard from the container and is currently blazing a disrupting smile. Laura cuts her throat before help shows up, leaving Rose in shock. Rose addresses two analysts, one of whom is her ex Joel, Kyle Gallner, for subtleties on the occasion. She makes sense of what she saw and furthermore converses with her chief, Dr. Morgan Desai, Cal Penn. Afterward, Rose goes to her home that she imparts to her life partner Trevor, Jesse T. Escher, and their feline mustache. Rose and Trevor go to supper with Rose's sister Home, Jillian Zinser, and her significant other Greg, Scratch a Rapid Law. However, Rose is so damaged from Laura's self-destruction that she rages at Holly when she reprimands Rose about neglecting Holly's child Jackson's, Matthew Sheep, impending birthday. Rose endeavors to return to work and continue on. She gets a call from Holly, as the two of them apologize for the contention, and Holly asks Rose to basically get Jackson a birthday present. While they talk, Rose peers through the window and seems to see what resembles Laura somewhere far off. At the point when Rose strolls via Carl's room, he is seen with an upsetting grin like Laura and starts to tell Rose you will bite the dust. She calls for help and Carl gets limited by orderlies over and over. At the point when Rose goes to purchase a present for Jackson, she sees a ghost of Laura once more, actually smiling. At home, she can't track down Mustache and is surprised when the security caution goes off. She gets a call from the security organization, however it ends up being a malevolent element that insults Rose. Throughout the end of the week, Rose attends Jackson's birthday celebration. At the point when the time has come to give out gifts, he takes Rose's, which should be a toy train. All things considered, Jackson opens the container and tracks down Mustache's body. Everybody goes nuts, and Rose attempts to guarantee everybody that she didn't do this. However, she sees one of different mothers seem to have the element's detestable smile. Rose staggers in reverse and falls through a glass table, seriously harming her arms. Rose is brought to the clinic for clinical consideration. Morgan visits her subsequent to becoming mindful of her episode and recommends she get some much needed rest work. At the point when Trevor brings her home, Rose attempts to account for herself, however he thinks she is flipping out and that she truly killed Mustache. Rose likewise has a meeting with her own specialist, Dr. Madeline Northcott, Robin Weiger, who assisted her with overcoming the injury of her mom's self-destruction. Rose starts to do some exploring. She plays sound recorded from her meeting with Laura and hears what sounds like a weak breathing plan. She likewise looks into Laura's teacher, Gabriel Munoz, Felix Melendez Jr., and tracks down his widow Victoria. She advises Rose that Gabriel had professed to have seen dreams of something tormenting him, only days after he saw another lady named Anna Powell end it all. At the point when Rose guarantees that she is encountering what Gabriel did, Victoria imagines that Rose is taunting her misfortune and she arranges her to leave. Rose visits Joel for help in her examination, regardless of his underlying hesitance. He looks into Anna Powell and finds that she kicked the bucket by gouging her eyes out. It is likewise detailed that Anna saw a man end it all as well, which is displayed in security film from a corner store where the man is seen with the unpleasant grin before he skewered himself before Anna. Joel accompanies Rose to a jail where she meets the last one standing of the Revile, Robert Talley, burglar at Morgan. He tells Rose that the substance locks itself onto individuals' injury and spreads itself to new casualties. Every one of the casualties saw a self-destruction, and they turned into the following casualties. So Robert killed somebody to keep the substance from killing him. At the point when Rose lets him know that she can't kill anybody, Robert blows a gasket and thinks that Rose carried the element with him, constraining him to be controlled. Rose returns home and takes a stab at conversing with Madeline, seeing her at home voluntarily. This ends up being the element in camouflage, since Madeline calls her for genuine minutes after the fact. The substance, as Madeline, smiles at her and says Rose's opportunity is approaching. Dreading she must choose between limited options, Rose drives to her occupation with a blade. She goes into the structure and tracks down Carl's room, where she prods him into blowing a gasket. Morgan runs in and sees Rose cutting Carl over and again. He shouts and seems to detach his face. However, this is only a horrible that Rose had after she dropped in her vehicle. She drives away when Morgan sees her, alongside the blade in her vehicle. Rose calls Joel and lets him know that she needs to separate herself to prevent the element from spreading to any other individual. She drives dependent upon her life as a youngster home where her mom kicked the bucket. At the point when it is dim, the element seems to Rose as a tall, long-haired gigantic variant of her mom that is continuously threatening. Rose communicates her annoyance toward her mom and how she acted because of her sickness and how she never got the assistance she really wanted. The substance follows and insults Rose until she sets it ablaze and runs out of the house as it consumes. She then, at that point, goes to Joel's condo and pastes that she had long last disposed of it. Then Joel tells her that she can never dispose of it. And he streaks a frightening grin. Yet again Rose was dreaming. She is still once again in the house. The substance seizes her and removes its face prior to extending Rose's jaw open and moving into her mouth. Joel appears and goes into the house, just to track down Rose splashing herself with lamp oil. She pivots, blazing her own unpleasant grin, and she lights herself ablaze before a